Hello friends, my name's Heather and here's my 5 best tips for owning a Pomeranian. So tip number 1 is buy a harness. So this is my little Pomeranian Tinkerbell. Pomeranians have very delicate necks, so you really don't want to have a collar on them. If you walk them with a collar, it can damage their trachea and lead to breathing problems later on. So I always use a harness. My little Pomeranian Tinkerbell, I bred her, so that's what she wears. Make sure your harness is secure. I like the harnesses that are made from Easy Dog because they have a headpiece and a piece that goes around their body as well. Make sure that you get them used to wearing it early. She doesn't mind at all, just like pops it through. And make sure it has to be reasonably tight on them. Obviously not so tight that it's ridiculous, but it has to be firm. So there we go. That's in there, all nice and cozy. So she's nice and safe there. If we were to go for a walk, something happened, I know there's no way that she's going to slip out of that and run into the road. If you do want a collar on them, and I have done this when she was little, it's a really good idea. Use a little cat collar. The good thing about this, it's got a little bell so you can hear where they are when they're tiny, so you're not going to step on them. And the other really nice thing about a little cat collar is it's got a breakaway. So she has had this caught before when she was tiny and it just broke off, but I was really glad that it did have. So that is tip number 1, get a good harness for your Pomeranian. Okay, tip number 2 is learn to love brushing. So as you can see, they are really quite fluffy. I've had some that are even fluffier than this. She's about average. I use a comb and brush. So what I do is I start off, if you have a routine, it's better. Start off from their head down to their tail and do one side. Then come under, do the little chest. Turn you round, do the other side, do your little puff fluff, there we go, and then use a comb just to finish them off. There's a good girl. I don't have them trimmed, I quite like them the way they are. But you do need to pay attention to their coat, make sure they've got no seeds that they've picked up in their coat or anything like that. Another good tip for brushing your Pomeranian, what you want to do, have a little trim up of this bottom area, make sure this is clean, so you can just get a pair of scissors, have just a little trim in there to make sure that's okay and they're going to be comfortable. When you're brushing, I see brushes that are sold and they've got like these little spiky bits. This one, if you can probably see, it's got little bobbles on the spikes. Otherwise they're really quite sharp, and I wouldn't want to be brushed with that. So brushing should be a nice thing. They should enjoy being brushed. So just make sure that whenever you're brushing them that it's gentle and they'll love it and you'll have a happy time together. That's tip number 2. Okay, tip number 3. They're hard to house train. Don't worry, it takes like 3, 4, 5 months even. That's normal for a Pomeranian. They're little dogs. They can't hold on very long. I've always used a little pen for her to sleep in at night. It's just like quite a big pen, like a puppy pen or a crate. Just be prepared for them to be wet for like the first few months. They probably are going to be. And then to help with your house training, you can have their little harness on during the day when they're babies, and you're going to have to take them out into the garden, I would say at least every half an hour to an hour. Even if they don't want to go, just give them the opportunity. If they go, tell them they're marvellous, but just don't worry if it takes a long time. You will get there in the end. Okay, tip number 4. As you can see, this is a different Pomeranian now. This is Minty, this is Tinkerbell's mum. Tip number 4 is to do with a thing that all Pomeranian owners are going to come up against, and that is barking. Pomeranians, the one thing they absolutely love to do is bark. And sometimes they're even not barking. So you're going to have to learn to love barking, because barking is going to happen a lot. And we can just go, Minty, what's going on? What's happening? Who's coming? Ruff, woof, huh? Ruff, ruff. You going to talk? Are you going to talk? No, we're not going to talk now. Yeah, but they do bark an awful lot. They'll bark at anything. They'll bark because the wind is blowing. They'll bark because they just want to bark. So you're just going to have to love barking. But it's worth it. You know, it's well worth it. They're wonderful little dogs. Okay, we'll go on to tip number 5, and that is they want to be with you. They're little companion dogs. They don't do well being left for ages on their own. You know, you can get away with taking a Pom a lot of places. You can pick them up, you can bring them with you. They're just like babies in dog form. I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and leave a comment if you like my doggies, and have a wonderful day. Bye bye. Good girl. Woof, woof.